You're listening to How I See It, hosted by Han. You guessed it, that's me. I am here to motivate and inspire you with guests from all different industries and backgrounds. So get ready for personal stories of success, of growth, full of highs and lows, and of course, unapologetic realness. This is How I See It. You guys, I'm so excited. I have Victoria Alario on the podcast today. She is not only a podcast host of this amazing podcast called For the Girls Podcast. We're actually going to do a swap, so I'm going to put it all in the description for you guys. But she is a confidence coach. And one of the things that you guys all know that I talk to every guest before they come on the podcast. And one of the things that I loved about our intro call is that Victoria is truly confident. She is confident since birth, and she's a really, really cool story and a lot to share. So I'm very excited. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
I'm so excited. Thank you for having me. When I came across your show, I was like, wait, I love people who are just like, we're cut from the same cloth, like we speak the same language. And I don't know what sign you are. I'm an Aquarius. I don't know if it's like an Aquarius thing, but like I love to have deep conversations. And I think it's important for people to hear them. So I think this is going to be a good one. And like Han just said, we're going to swap. So by the time you're hearing this, her episode on my podcast will be out. So you'll have two for the price of one today.
I'm so excited. I'm a Pisces, but are you February?
Yeah, I'm February.
Okay. It's so weird you say that, because me and my best friends were talking about how, and I'm not someone that has a lot of friends, to be honest. I used to be embarrassed about it. And I think as you kind of grow more into yourself, like you realize that you're just like a quality over quantity person. Mm-hmm. But every single one of my best girlfriends is born in February. And there's like 4 of them. Every single one. Isn't that weird?
That is weird.
When you were like, you're an Aquarius, I'm like, I wonder if she's February, because that would make sense.
Oh my God, that is so funny. And I also, just to put it out there, I'm the same way. Pretty much my only friends are my best friends since high school. We've been best friends since we're like 13, 14, and still rolling deep together.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Okay, well, take me back. Where did you grow up? How did you get to a place where you're now not only hosting a podcast, but working with women every single day on building up and sustaining confidence, which is not as easy as I feel like we throw it around to be.
Yeah, no, it is not. And I hate the saying fake it till you make it. Like never live off of that, like fake it till you make it mindset. For me, since the beginning of time, maybe it is the February Aquarius in me, like I'm just a very real and honest person. So my way of saying that is face it till you make it. Instead of fake it till you make it, face it. Be authentic, be real, be vulnerable. Like I'm the type of person who wears my heart on my sleeve, and I have been like that really my entire life. It's gotten me in trouble more times than I can admit. And so, yeah, like that's just essentially how I grew up. I am from New York, so maybe it's also the New Yorker in me.
Totally.
That's, maybe a little bit more cutthroat than most. I think that as I got older, I did have like the full-time job, like out of college and all that. I really felt so called to just like, I have to work for myself. I have to do my own thing. I'm a humble person, but I've always been able to acknowledge my strengths. And I really just leaned into that. And so I was originally doing like all different side things while, working full time. I was doing fashion blogging. I was doing business coaching. I was helping girls build like a social media presence and things like that. And at the forefront of everything, the answer to everything just always went back to confidence. Girls asking, but what do I post about? What do I do? I'm like, build up your confidence and just share. People saying, but I don't know how to make a sale. I don't know what to say. Lean into your confidence, have confidence in your conversations, whatever. Everything went back to confidence. And so that's when it all kind of turns into people wanting more personal development stuff from me rather than surface level fashion, beauty, business, stuff like that.
Well, I love that you're saying this too, because I feel like it really speaks to the fact I always say on the podcast that like the entrepreneurial journey is just as much a mental health journey. And I think it's the 100%. Same thing. Like if you don't have confidence, like you cannot execute in all aspects of your life, whether it's like your personal mental health, emotional healing journey, your relationship, love life, or like the business.
Yep. It's so true. And so that was really it. That's how I was like, I'm just going to transition my content into really being more mental health, if you want to call it, but more like personal development type content, helping people boost their confidence. And so that's how I started to do For the Girls. And then from doing For the Girls, it led into the confidence coaching because my listeners were becoming clients. Like my listeners wanted more. So that's really how I ended up
That's
here. And I've been doing
amazing.
that since 2021.
Wow, that's so cool. Okay, take me back a little bit. So, growing up, you said like you've always been unapologetic, essentially. And here with my
Hmm.
podcast, it's all about
Yep.
like unapologetic. And being unapologetic really, I think for me, meant like getting to a place where I was like looking in the mirror enough to deal with my shit, deal with the trauma I've been through, and be able to like own it as my own instead of perpetuating my own misery so that I could be like my most aligned self. And I think with that came confidence and, all the other things. But I feel like what you said about like facing it until you make it, I think it's the same thing. Like you have to look in the mirror and be able to acknowledge not just your strengths, but your weaknesses too,
Yeah.
and be able to
Yeah.
move forward. Where do you think it came from? Like, I know you said from a young age, you've always just been real. Did you have a lot of that around you, or did you feel like you were kind of like a lone wolf in that?
I would say it goes both ways because I wouldn't consider myself like a black sheep, but I've always been different than
Mm,
the people that I was surrounded with. I always felt misunderstood. I always felt judged more than others. I think when you are that like unapologetic person, you're kind of putting yourself out there to be judged more. Like you're
yeah.
you're putting yourself in a position where more eyes are on you, whether you want it or not, because you are more outspoken as opposed to someone who just like plays small and stays more in the background. And so I think because I really always marched to the beat of my own drum and did my own thing, I did feel I struggled even like making girlfriends. Like my best friends are literally my best friends since high school. Outside of that, as I got older through college into my 20s, I always felt like I didn't belong. I lived in different cities. So from Staten Island, then I moved to Tampa, then I moved to Miami, then I moved to Hoboken, New Jersey. Now I'm back in Staten Island. But through all those cities, I was like trying to make friends to go out with and trying to fit in. And I just like never felt like I did. I always felt
Yeah.
different. And so that comes with a lot of like having to get real with yourself and vulnerability. And like you said, look yourself in the mirror and just like acknowledge the truth of yourself essentially. And sometimes you're just not for everyone, and I wasn't always for everyone. I will never
Yeah.
be always for everyone.
Yeah, it's so interesting you say that because I feel like though, and I know you've listened to my podcast, so though I had like a lot of trauma and like mental health stuff I had to work through, I still felt there was always this element of like I knew what I was supposed to do and like what I was capable of. And I think maybe at the time I didn't have like the skill set or I hadn't been to therapy yet, so I didn't know how to like communicate in a way that like didn't come off a certain way maybe. From a young age, especially as women, we're taught that like, you know, people are supposed to like us and like friendship is so important. And at that age it can be like really detrimental to feel almost isolated because it's not even
Mhm.
like a black sheep thing like you're saying. Like it's more of like a you feel isolated or like unliked or like not normal for being like so alone. And I think as you get older, to your point, you kind of realize, no, it's kind of like one of my gifts. And it just was like isolating as a young person. And I look back and I wish there would have been someone to tell me and like affirm that there are other people that are, were like me and now in like their 20s and 30s, they're like thriving and it's okay that you don't have a lot of friends, which I feel like is to your mission too with your podcast, kind of like why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah, 100%. And it goes even further, I think, for me too, because I also was always single. So
Mm,
I really felt that isolation like deep into my 20s because, it's like a Friday night. I'm not invited to go to the certain place. And I don't have a guy, I don't have a man, like I'm by myself. Like I always said that isolation and that singleness really creates a strength, like more strength than anything, because loneliness could be very, very hard. And it for other people, I mean, it could be depressing, it could cause even more anxiety. Like there's so much overthinking that comes with being so alone because you're literally in your own thoughts. Like you're not even talking to anybody other than yourself. And so when
yeah.
you're trapped in your own head and your own space all the time, like it could drive a person, crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I'm pretty confident in my singleness too, because I'm the same way. Never was a relationship person. I still am
Hmm.
not. Like, I still am the friend that's like giving advice and like talking with my friends about their relationships. But I'm like not super into dating a lot. Like, I never
Hmm.
have been.
Hmm.
So like it is this weird feeling of like kind of being you almost feel like wired a little bit differently.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, I'm very confident in being alone and I still can feel the wave of loneliness at times.
Yep.
And I think that's when you have to flex those confidence things. So for you, and I know you work with clients on this, so I would love for you to get into it a little bit. Like, where did that shift come for you in like your love life? How do you encourage women to kind of like build up confidence in those moments so that we don't commit to like bad situations? Because I think what's happens, and correct me if you feel differently, I feel like we as women don't feel confident, or we feel a fear of loneliness, and so we settle.
Yep. Oh my goodness. It is the truth. I had been doing social media for a while, since like literally 2015 when I was in college. But I would say that 2021, 2022 era, when I was like deep in the trenches of being single and dating, that's when I really took off the most on social media, because I was talking about this exactly, about not settling. And of course, what were all the comments saying? Like, yeah, look at you saying this coming from, you're so single, you have nobody, blah, 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 whatever. People always had that kind of stuff to say. And my mindset was always just like, dating, like, it shouldn't, it's hard because it's like, yeah, it's not easy to just get in a relationship with somebody, but it shouldn't be hard in the sense that like you're making it so hard on yourself and you're just hoping that the next guy is the guy, and I just hope every guy likes me, because you're literally going to set yourself up for heartbreak, failure, disappointment, letdown, all that. And so for me, what I really learned was that you have to be so strong in your solitude and so comfortable in your life and confident in your life. Pick up hobbies, have at least a few genuine people, whether it's friends or family, people that you love, good relationships in your life, travel, do things, find passions, be good at something, get good at something, anything it could possibly be. So much so to the point where you will be 100% happy and 100% fulfilled and okay with your life, with or without a partner. They're just an asset. Not
Mm.
like, my life is unfulfilled until I finally have, a man. Of course I always wanted, and I'm so fortunate that I did end up finding him, but I think that we connected the way that we did, and why I was able to approach dating with so much confidence was because I loved my life. You have to love your life. When people would say to me, "Do you like being single?" I'm like, I am single. So you asking me that question is like asking me, "Do you like your life?" Like, you want me to say, "No, I don't like being single?" Then I'm saying, "No, I don't like my life. I don't like my lifestyle."
Yeah.
I did things I loved. I filled up my time with fun, with friends. I made time for healthy things, and I picked up healthy habits. Not in a sense where it was like a distraction, but in a sense where I would be content with or without somebody. And I think that that's a very important thing, because so many girls think like, after I meet him, then I'll be happy. When this happens, then I'll be happy. And they put so much stock in a relationship that they're putting out like more of a desperate energy than an abundant energy. And so, yeah, like they get so excited over a guy just because one time he answered their Hinge message or whatever. And they're like, "What do I do? He didn't answer." I'm like, "This is a stranger. Let's relax." Like, you
Yeah.
don't know this person.
Well, it's kind
So,
of
yeah.
like a reprogramming, right? That like
Yeah.
needs to happen because we're taught from such a young age that our like value comes from finding the one. To your point, like I don't think you're saying that like you can't be happy in your life and still long for someone. Like
A
you can be very happy and like with and content, but still in the background be like, I do want someone, but I'm
100%.
unwilling to settle. And my entire worth and value is not going to lie on if that person comes into my life or not. Like I need to be something apart from that. And I think
Yeah.
I too see like a lot of women where it's like the man is like everything. Like that is their life. Their schedule revolves around it. Everything revolves around it. You can see it in the way people approach dating, where they have this like checklist of things. They're not concerned with actually loving the person they're dating. I think a lot of women are guilty of this, where you'll ask a girl, like, what does she love about her boyfriend? Like, what do you love about him? Or like she really loves someone and you're like, what do you like about him? Like, why do you want to be with him so much? And every single response is something about how they make them feel. Like it's not like actual characteristics or things about the significant other that they like that are going to be like a good addition or something they want to see as a part of their life. It's more like how he makes me feel. And I feel
Hmm.
like it's a very great indicator of like our society and the way women have kind of been raised in the dating scene, where it's like it's all about our worth. It's all about the way they make us feel and not
Hmm.
about no, I like these 5 amazing things about this other person. They're going to be a great asset, to your point. I love that word, to my life.
Yeah. To even add on to that, I would say it's not your fault, but it's your responsibility what you allow in your life. Because
Totally.
you can't just constantly be a victim and every guy screws me over. Like at some point we have to acknowledge that we allow this in our lives. Why do you allow someone the space in your life who clearly doesn't deserve the space in it? I always say keep the space open and make that space ready for what you actually desire. Yes, I was single and went through like dating and meeting guys and a lot of ups and downs, but I can't say that I ever went through some big, grand, tragic, like scandal or whatever you want to call it, because I really was so intentional about dating that when I saw a red flag, I let that flag be red and I let that person go. I wasn't repainting the flag pink, you know? So
Yeah.
I think that it's such a important lesson in dating that we hold ourselves accountable and that we know our responsibility and we actually do the vetting. We raise our standards, we know what we're looking for, and we ask the appropriate questions and we do what we need to do to discover who this person is before deciding, yeah, I like them. They decide that they like someone based on what? He's cute. Like it's not enough. You know,
Yeah.
it's simply not enough. You need to know somebody before investing and putting so much stock into them.
Yeah. Okay, 2 things. First, I think what you're the first thing you're speaking to about, like, being able to see a red flag and then, like, just bounce, like, not trying to paint it pink, not trying to make excuses. I think the core of that is, like, having confidence.
Yeah.
Because if you have confidence, like, you're able to see that that is not appropriate or not
Right.
deserving for you, and I think that's really obviously hard. It's why you do it for a living, because it's
Yeah.
very hard to flex that kind of confidence. How do you think you're able to flex that? How do you help clients flex that? And then I want you also to get into the second part of that, or, like, what are some of the questions that we can ask right off the bat
Yeah,
to see?
100%. For sure. Well, I think one thing that might come with maturity when it comes to the whole red flags and being able to bounce. My goal in life is just having peace. If you don't bring peace into my life, like I can't do this. If you cause anxiety for me, you make me stressed. I don't hear from you for 3 days and then on a Friday night, what are you doing? Like that doesn't make me feel good, you know? So like when it came to dating and guys just very clearly showing you, presenting you who they are, you have to see it in black and white. There's no gray areas and nuance, and everyone tries to justify and romanticize situations. Like I just anytime that I ever caught myself romanticizing something, I had to like check myself and get clarity and like not see things so blurry and so gray. It's like, okay, in black and white, if this guy, to give you an example, there would be guys saying, oh, I want to take you out next weekend. And then you keep your next weekend open for this guy, but he never makes a plan. He doesn't give you the time, he doesn't give you the place, he doesn't follow up. And then you're sitting around on a Saturday night waiting for this guy to tell you, "Hey, yeah, I'm still taking," like it's just so many young girls do this to themselves. And then they sit at home, they tell their friends, "No, I can't come tonight," because they're sitting hoping he calls them. And it's a terrible, terrible feeling that being bailed on, you get excited, they let you down. Like, moral of the story is when someone makes you feel anything other than good about yourself or just good about them, um, you need to take that for what it is and say, like, I can't deal with this in my life. I want peace. I need peace. And so when it
Yeah.
comes to red flags, that's my biggest thing. But then as far as vetting and having these conversations and whatnot, something that I always tell my girls, because that's a big question, they're like, what did you ask? And I say, I didn't go into dating with a question book of like ask all of these things,
Yeah, because that's
for
giving, like, desperate energy
and
too, the,
it's
like,
like giving
checklist.
interview, like
Yeah.
that's not really a good place to start with somebody. For me, it's about having a conversation in general and then peeling back the layer on that conversation. So typically people bring up their family, so if someone's talking about their parents or whatever, like just dive deeper into that thing until you feel like you covered that base, like, okay, you want to know about their family, you want to know about their upbringing. Does that mean you need to sit there and say, tell me about your family? What's your parents like, like it's a little weird. It's not very romantic or sexy to have those like weird conversations. So you kind of want to frame the conversation in a way where like now you're bringing up family and then you continue to ask questions from there. Like you just peel back the layer and dig deeper. It's the same as having a conversation with a friend. I think that people just overcomplicate it because they're trying to get a boyfriend out of it. So it's like,
Mhm.
I don't want to ask the wrong thing. I don't want to say or do the wrong thing because then I'm going to scare him away. But if this was just a platonic girlfriend, say you met a girl like on social media, and you're like, let's go for coffee, let's go take pictures together and go get content and get to know each other. You're gonna sit at the coffee shop and you're gonna have these questions and conversations. So that is as far as that goes, like getting into those things, how to really get to know them. But I also think it's very important that you do not leave a date without getting the main questions you need answered because well, it goes two ways. One, you could always leave a little if you feel like you really went well and you like just this is just kind of a flirting tip. If you like feel like it really went well and like you want to know more, but you want to like kind of put out a little teaser, you're like, we'll talk about that next time. Like we'll save it for next time. Just a little flirty vibe tip so that you can kind of like set up a second date. But in general, if there's things that you're like on a first date with someone, I always need to know XYZ before we go because that'll determine if I'm even willing to go on a second date with them, no matter what that looks like. Because I know for me, I wasn't willing to waste a second, third date with someone if
Totally.
then you have to make sure you ask those questions.
The questions and the dates, like they need to come from an authentic place. They can't be this like, because to our point, like this energy, this desperate energy of like, I'm trying to like get through a question list, check off the list, all of these things. Like it's very me rooted. Like it's very like
Hmm.
selfish almost. And I don't think there's anything wrong with like having your checklist. But like on a first date, a second date, like you need to actually think about in your head, like what is a non negotiable to your point?
Yeah.
Like what are like two non-negotiables of me
Right.
even like going to hang out with this person again, because you would
Right.
do that with a friend as well, like authentically. Like if the first date they say something that like goes against your moral code completely, like you're not going to hang out with them again. But like if
Exactly.
I'm like showing up inauthentically trying to like think about all the things I need, like that's not only just unattractive, but like you're getting in the way of like actually finding out if you have like a real connection. And quite frankly, it's not painting you authentically either. Like I don't feel like I would like look good necessarily, not physically, but like as a person, if I like went through my checklist on a date and didn't actually show up as my authentic self.
It's legitimately the least romantic way to date, honestly. Like,
It's a turnoff, kind
yeah,
of.
it is, and I think because people stress so much the reward of like getting a partner out of it, they're like, I just want a boyfriend. They go in more robotically, like I need to know all of these things, so I'm just gonna like rapid fire shoot these questions, and they totally skip over the whole point, which was to have a romantic connection with someone. Like you're not looking for a business partner, you're not looking for a friend. Maybe you're looking for literally your husband, your future husband. Like there should be a romantic spark there. The romance should be alive. And so that's why like the more natural you are in the conversation and you simply just talk to the person, you'll probably open up more and they will actually cover the questions that you mentally had in your head without you even having to ask because you're just having a regular conversation like two people. And so
Mhm.
with that, the conversation could lead into what you want to know without you even specifically saying like, so tell me about your religion, like,
Yeah.
whatever. I'm just
Well,
making
I
that
think
up.
this is like circling back to our whole point on like the rewiring of like our self-worth as women. Like it's it not being a reflection of being in a relationship. And again, we're not saying that's not important. Like we all don't want to die alone. Like I would
Right.
say that is like a human biological thing. Like we do not want to die alone. But I will say like again, like we are wired at a very young age that like having a partner is like everything. It makes up our self-worth. Like we are nothing without it. Therefore, I think as women have a hard time finding confidence in being alone because it's wired at such a young age that like that is not a good thing. And it
Yeah.
is that's such a like for lack of a better word bullshit way to like look at our life. So my question for you is like how do you coach girls, at least from a starting point. Like maybe someone's listening and they're like, okay, I get it. Like I need to like make my life great. I need to find confidence in just being by myself so that I can show up as the best version of myself. But like, where does that process start for like these girls? Because I think a
Yeah.
lot of people, and it's not their fault, I just think a lot of people really struggle to even like sit and be like, okay, well, what can I do to like build up this confidence in being in my own?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Because it's less about like having confidence about, yeah, I'll meet a good guy or whatever. It's more about just having confidence in your individualism, like just like you and yourself. Um, I am going to answer that, but there's so many different chapters to that, you know, like there's so many different categories of life. Like you could literally start one way I always start with my clients just for the sake of like letting them be able to look at their life, you know, through a bigger lens is like you can literally write down every category of your life. I make them do it in like a chart, like a circle. And it's like, okay, we have the spiritual stuff, we have the physical stuff, we have your health and wellness, we have your career, your finances, your family and friends, your social battery, your hobbies and things that you're passionate about, like every area of life. And when you look at it from that glance, and if you could actually like rate yourself, and a lot of people end up having a reality check of like, I do feel unfulfilled in this area because I actually make no effort toward this thing. When you look at it like
Mm.
that, if you could write in the squares of like, here's what I do for this, they're like, I actually don't do anything to help my mental health. I actually don't do anything to boost my career, or like whatever it might be. So for a starting point, like it's important to be able to look at your life as a whole and see what you're doing, what you're not doing, and being able to balance that. Because I'm also like, I'm so against like overloading yourself. You know, when people like start their, I'm going to start my growth journey, my glow up era, and they try to do everything at once, it's very overwhelming. So I'm big on balance and just like focus on one thing at a time. But aside from that, in general, to give you a little bit more specific, when it comes down to the women who are single that are just like kind of like waiting and they feel like they're just sitting around waiting, the mindset is not strong enough in the fact that like one of my quotes is I only want what wants me, everything I want wants me back. And so that mindset is not strong enough to the point where people will want or accept something that doesn't want them as bad as they want it. So I always try to instill the mindset in their head of like, every single thing that you want wants you just as bad as you want it. And it's going to be a mutual thing. So anything that feels hard, that's giving you like pushback, that's just not being received properly, that's not for you. So it's more about being okay with letting go of that, keeping the space in your life and filling it up with, like I said, those other things that I mentioned. So that this way you're whole regardless. You're whole with or without that. Accept less pushback in your life and rejection and all that, and focus more on everything that I deeply desires me just as much.
I think you've hit the nail on the head, because I feel like you're not saying either that like all of a sudden you're going to like wake up the next morning from being rejected from the situationship you've been in love with for a year and not care anymore. Even if like I've been in this situation, I actually recently, where I've been like, no, like I think this is my person, but they're not picking me back.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, okay, like I don't have to like rewire that. Like if I really think this person's my person, fine, but I can't like act that way. Like
Yeah.
I can have the feeling just like anything else. Like I can have a negative feeling. I can't let it impact the way I'm moving forward in my life. So I think there's like that balance, because a lot of people are like, well, he doesn't want you. You deserve better. Move on. And then people are like, well, I still love
Doesn't work
him.
that way.
I still
Yeah.
love him. But it's like you two things can exist at the same time. Like you can still believe something or think that's your person, but also have enough self-work, confidence, and respect for yourself to be like, okay, but they don't think that. They're not on the same page. They're not showing up the way that I deserve. So I need to focus on something else. I need to like continue to build into myself. And if that comes back around, great. If it doesn't, you building into yourself is going to help you get over the feeling of
Yeah,
like
but
thinking you're in love with that person.
by the time that you really invest into other things, you're going to be so far removed from it anyway that you're going to look back and be like, I can't even believe I felt that way. I can't even believe I thought that thing. And like
Yeah.
sometimes you don't, when you're in it, you don't see that. But when you're months or years past it, I think back to like guys that I used to be so hung up on that when I look back, I'm like, oh my God, what the fuck was I thinking? Like,
Yeah.
why was I so hung up on this person? And you know what? For me, like something I always did when I was dating, I was always very vulnerable. So like I always thought it was important to tell people how I felt because I think vulnerability just simply uncovers the truth, which helps you in the long run. Sometimes the truth is not what you want to hear, but at the very least, you got the honest answer out of it. So you could tell someone, I feel this way toward you. I'm not okay with being in a situationship because I really feel a certain way toward you. I need commitment. They say I can't give you commitment. Well, then at least that tells you, let's end this because I'm only going to continue to get further invested and I'm only going to get my heart stomped on. So maybe you still love or like that person. Maybe you still have those feelings there, but at least you were able to see the truth, pull back, and, start to focus more, like I said, on like peace being the goal.
Totally. I think this goes back to like looking in the mirror too and like facing yourself and like facing it to like build up the confidence. Cause I think a lot of us, and it's totally human, like I catch myself doing it too, but like
Yeah.
we want to like stay in like a non-reality state sometimes so that we don't have to make hard choices. Like it's easier to like not know or to like continue to commit
Yeah.
to the like dumb situation or to like not have the hard conversation because if you know, then you have to make a hard choice. You have to like move and it's human. I'm guilty of it too. But like
Mhm.
once you face it, like facing ourselves, facing truth is the way we can grow, move forward, build confidence. And you can't do that unless you're honest with yourself and others.
Yeah. That's why we keep ourselves in situations like it makes it a lot harder to let go. Detaching is very very hard for women because we like create this false sense of reality or we romanticize, like I said, we romanticize things. Oh, but like this guy, like he's not he's clearly not giving me what I need, but like I love spending time with him. Okay, the hard decision is to cut off that time because you have to stop investing, feelings further and it might be hard in that moment, but it's like short-term sacrifice for a long-term reward. This is the hard thing right now, but you're going to be so much happier in the end that did it for yourself. If for anything at all, do it for your own sanity. Do it
Yeah.
for your future self.
Well, and I told you on the podcast, I always say it's almost become like a podcast cliche, but I don't think it is at all. It's like you have to get uncomfortable for the sake of real comfortability. You need to be
Yep.
self-aware enough to know that like what you are feeling right now that you've convinced yourself is so comfortable is
Hmm.
not. It's actually incredibly uncomfortable. And yes, doing the hard thing feels uncomfortable, but in like a year, you're going to be like, oh, wow, this is real comfortability.
I love the way you say that word.
Oh, thank you. I love it too.
Uncomfortable. You really pronounce it properly. I don't know if you realize what I'm saying. Like, I love the way you specifically say
Get
it.
uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable. I feel like I like I don't know. You say all the syllables and I like it.
Ooh,
Uncomfortable.
thanks.
I don't feel like I say it that way and I need to work on that.
Now.
It's very satisfying in my ears right
Ooh,
now.
I love that. That means it's really resonating.
It's really resonating. Yeah,
Perfect.
uncomfortable. I like that.
Okay, there's a lot of women listening who probably aren't even just in situationships, but they've been cheated on. They've been treated like shit. I don't know how willing you are to get into your own story, but I remember you telling me that you have experience with that. How did you hold on to your confidence when something like that happens? Because that's hard. Like that being cheated on,
Yeah.
like derails confidence, or it can.
Yeah. So these were mostly experiences when I was younger. First of all, two boyfriends that I had in high school, that was my experience being cheated on. And then even in my early 20s, like I would say I was probably like 22, 21, 22. It was like my earlier 20s.
Which are like
Um
formative
yeah,
years.
formative years, but like throughout my like from 16 to like 22, those were like actually, I even had okay, you know what? I'll even tell you another funny one. Someone, and this is a situation I am very much removed and healed from. Like I'm literally getting married this year, okay? Like it's not it really ain't that serious. Like every single guy that I liked in college essentially like I can't say I was cheated on, I wasn't their girlfriend, but just like chose another girl over me after being like so invested in it, where to the point like you're spending all your time with someone, you're like sure that the next step is like that commitment, and then actually it's like, oh, you know what, my ex came back around, and so like it's like, wait, I thought I just made so much progress with you, like that feeling of like okay, I'm still not good enough. I'm still not being picked. You were so ready to move on from your ex and get in the
Mhm.
relationship. And then it's like your ex looked in your direction and now you're telling me like, I'm kicked to the curb. So like honestly, high school, college, early 20s, that was always my experience with guys was either cheating or them choosing somebody else over me. Um, and so that could be very, very damaging to a young woman, a young girl. And I think for me, as listen, as confident as I am, as a girl, we have emotions and insecurities come up 100%. No one is immune to that. No one is robotic, and I wouldn't even want to be. So there have been times where it really gets you down on yourself. But my mindset was always like, I had to see the optimistic version or the light at the end of the tunnel, which basically just said, I'm one person closer to my person now. Like now, this person, like the trash took itself out. So,
Mhm.
as hard as it is to go through that thing, my optimistic way of moving past a really like, shitty feeling is just like, well, my husband would never do this to me. And now I'm one more person closer to my husband. So I'm one less heartbreak from it because it's like now I already got through that. So now I got to remove that
Yeah.
from my life. My husband would never treat me like that. And I'm not even talking about my man. I'm saying even then, metaphorically, I'm like, my husband wouldn't do that to me. This isn't husband energy. So why am I going to dwell on this? I'm now one person closer to my husband. And so it's a more abundant and optimistic way of looking at it. And so I feel like every time I went through, not to say a heartbreak, but every time I went through like, something just not working out, you have a choice, do I dwell on this and see this pessimistically? Like no one's for me, nothing, no one wants me, it's never working out. Or do I see this as like, well, my husband wouldn't do that to me. And now I'm one man closer to my husband.
Yeah.
But healing is not linear. It's not just like, okay, I have this optimistic mindset. So like I'm just going straight up. It's a roller coaster. It's like entrepreneurship. How you always say mental health and entrepreneurship are like one and the same. It's not linear. You're going to have good days. You're going to have bad days. There's going to be times where you feel like you just reset all the way back to day one, to the beginning. But it's really how you choose to overcome those feelings and what mental health or like mindset practices that you have in place already instilled in you that allow you to move on from that thing. And you just accept some days will be good, some days will be bad. I just need to have solutions to my problem so that I can help myself get forward.
Yeah. The thing I've realized about a lot of people, whether we're talking about like getting over a guy or a situationship or being rejected or having to like rewire our thoughts, whether it comes to like our depression, anxiety, like whatever it is, just like rewiring and changing, having that mindset shift. I feel like people are under this weird illusion that it's not going to be extremely uncomfortable and that they're not going to feel like sad and hurt and pulled in the direction that feels comfortable still. Like I
Yeah.
feel like there's this weird false illusion that like this stuff you're saying only comes when like the feelings are gone. When in
Not
reality
true.
like the negative feelings go away with repetition of healthy practices over and over and over again. And you have to be able to let both exist at the same time. I find that
Mhm.
people don't realize that. And so then they
Yeah.
continue to like sit in the depression, the anxiety, the rejection, the heartbreak, waiting for it to end. Then they can change their mindset when in reality, no, the mindset change and like the ability and like resilience over and over and over again to like think positive, abundant thoughts during the darkness is what's going to get you through. What I was thinking about the entire time you were talking was that, and I struggle with this. This is something I've worked on and I'm still actively working on it is that we always think it's about us. Like every rejection, every like man who's unable to show up or like even friendships when things like go wrong or like something even happens in business, it's always like me. Like, what did I do? Why am I unworthy? Or like, what could I do to fix the problem? And I had a man recently in my life tell me, like, this isn't about you. This is like everything I'm saying has nothing to do with you. And I know that, but like deep down, I don't think I do. And it's been this constant healing journey. And I think I've gotten a lot better, but it's still there. How do you think you personally, and also when you've helped women, how do you give them that, like that feeling of like accepting, but actually putting into practice, like these things aren't about you, which again,
Mhm.
I think is rooted in confidence, like building confidence.
Everything is rooted in confidence. It's such a valid point because we all do that. But I think what it really comes down to is like, we have to control the controllables. So everything that's within your control, you have to control it. So one of those things being your thought process. You have to be mindful and hyper aware of where your thought process is going. If you are someone who lives very subconsciously and unconsciously, where you're the type of person who's just like, well, that's just how I am, like nothing I could do
Ugh,
about it. Like,
pet
I
peeve.
fucking hate that. Like,
Ugh, yeah.
I like people who are just so unwilling to grow, and unwilling to evolve. And it's so just like, well, there's nothing I could do about it. Just my personality, like take it or leave it. Like, no, like, so when you live mindfully and consciously, you're able to stop certain thoughts, you're able to combat certain thoughts, you're able to prove your own thoughts wrong. Where, like, say that you find yourself starting to spiral, and you're now, because you're aware and you're paying attention to yourself and you're conscious of yourself and the things that come to your mind, when you find yourself doing that, what's wrong with me, what did I do, whatever is coming to your mind, whatever you're journaling and putting pen to paper, you have to stop yourself right then and there. And you have to be able to say, you're doing it again. Like, stop that. This says more about them than it does about me. Like, first of all, I'm not going to be for everybody, and I'm perfectly okay with that. So just because I'm not for that person doesn't mean there's something wrong with me. I've already accepted that not everybody's going to like me. And if this person doesn't like me, so what? Like, it
Mhm.
doesn't necessarily mean there's anything I need to change. Now, if there was something, if you did do something toxic or hurtful to somebody, then you have to take accountability and,
Yeah.
acknowledge that. But for
But
the
that's
most
not
part,
what we're
yeah,
talking
but for
about.
the most
This is
part, that's not the case.
Women are such like nurturing beings and we're so empathetic and we go into fix it mode. I'm like fucking Bob the Builder. I have been in my love life where I'm
Yeah.
like fixing every single person and man that comes into my life. And I've really tried to pull back. I think it's something about my personality that I can look at and like view in a very positive light and then also be able to put boundaries around. Like, this is so beautiful of you,
Yeah.
Hannah, that you like to do this, but you need to put boundaries. But like, I think it's about flexing. Like, when are we going to be nurturing? When is it too much? Like, when are you making everything about you and like trying to control something? Or when are you showing up as like a feminine, strong person? And that reminds me too, I loved what you said earlier about how you get vulnerable like very quickly. I think a lot of women, especially like alpha confident women, are very scared to be vulnerable because they think that it downplays their confidence. Where is the bridge there? Because that is such a false narrative.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to talk about that because I have a huge personal transformation with that. But I also want to just go back 1 second to how you said, like, pulling back on like being that nurturing, whatever. Like, let me just say, I'm the same way. And the things that my fiance loves about me, like that, first of all, that's what I take care of him in that way. I cook, we have dinner together every night. I cook his meals. I do all the things. Imagine whatever a homemaker does. I take care of him in that way. Those things that he loves about me and has loved about me from the beginning, I've also been told, kind of like what you just said, by other guys, that it was too much. It was overbearing. It was overwhelming to them. Like, I will never forget a guy that I dated. When I went over his house, I brought water bottles because I like used to always drink like all the water bottles in the fridge. I don't know. It's such a random little thing. But I brought a case of water bottles because it was just like a thing. Like, I'm always drinking the water bottles. And he like brought it up when he ended things with me. He was like, "You brought water bottles to my house. It just felt like too much too soon." I was like, "What? Did I bring an engagement ring to your house, or did I bring a case of Poland Spring?" Like, I don't really understand. Like, it was like the most bizarre thing. Like, my point is that like the same things that some guys are going to make you feel like is wrong or overwhelming or too much, your guy is going to love that thing about you. Like,
No, I love this example because I feel like you could either be the girl that's like, fuck, I am too much. I did
yeah,
come on too strong. Or you can be like, oh my God, this man clearly has intimacy issues. Like, I
yeah,
literally brought over water. It's not
yeah,
that deep.
yeah. Like, the fear of commitment is showing, babe. Like, You need to like, or just the fact that you don't fucking like me, just tell me you don't like me, like, you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, like, realistically, all you have to say is like, I don't see you as my girlfriend, so stop coming the fuck over, like, and I would have
Yeah,
stopped coming, like, but they
that's
want you,
awesome.
they want to have you at like that arm's length of like, I'm not going to commit, but I want you to keep coming over, but then if you start to like me, it's going to scare me, like,
Or God forbid you bring water.
God, don't, girls, so listen to me. Do not bring. Look, I have it. This is exactly what I brought. Poland Spring. I have the bottle right next to me. Like,
That's hilarious.
it's the most bizarre thing in the world. And so, yeah. Okay. So now for me, because when I was younger, I was, like I mentioned before, I was doing so many things. I was doing the business coaching. Like, I was kind of all over the place. I was making a ton of money and I was like, just so, I'm still an entrepreneur, if you will, but I was like really in that like hustle culture, business
Uh-huh.
entrepreneur, like, yeah, sort of thing. And I was very like alpha vibes, very masculine energy. And there's nothing wrong with having masculine energy because it's engraved in me. It's who I am. I have
Yeah.
a lot of masculine energy. But at that time, I did not know how to balance or tap into my feminine at all. I didn't realize that you get to be both. I didn't realize that there was a time and place, it was like my professional and my personal life was very hustle, hustle. Like, when I was dating at that time, I I made a lot of guys kind of feel like shit, to be honest. Like, I wasn't affectionate. I was very like, all right, like, I have more important things to do. Like, I don't have time for this. Like, I have a work call or I have emails to answer. Like, I was just very like, it was my own thing of feeling unproductive brought me a lot of guilt. I was like the type who was like, I don't have a Netflix account because why spend 3 hours binge watching TV when I could spend 3 hours on my grind, like that. Like,
That's
and
awesome.
so that my point of why I share all that is like, I've been all the way on that end, like strong alpha. And then as I started to get older and mature, I realized because I was constantly convincing myself, guys are just intimidated by me. Guys are intimidated by me. The truth was, they're not intimidated. They just don't like that. They don't feel like it's not very like we're talking about nurturing. At the end of the day, forget the guys who have commitment issues. Men like a nurturing woman. Like, forget the guys who tell you that bringing water bottles is too scary. A normal guy likes a nurturing woman, And
Yeah.
so when I was dating good guys, but like not really getting ahead anywhere, it's like, yeah, because I'm giving them so much pushback and it's like, this is not enjoyable. Like, you want romance in the relationship, how I mentioned romance. You don't want to feel like this is a business partner or a bro that you're like shooting the shit with. So
Hmm.
as I started to mature, I really started to lean more into my feminine energy. And it took years of learning about this, practicing this, embodying this, allowing myself to take a back seat with some things because I was always, which I still kind of am a little bit, such a control freak. I want
Mm.
everything exactly how I want it. It's like, yeah, I'm totally flexible as long as you do it my way. Like,
We are cut from the same cloth, really.
yeah. And so, I was like, I had to allow, which pained me at times, things to not go my way. I had to
Totally.
allow,
Or to fail.
yeah, I had to let that messy shit happen. I had to let plans not go exactly how I want. It took like working on it, controlling my emotions, letting go of this need to control everything in the world. And through doing that, I was able to really get to the point that by the time I did meet my fiance, I was so embodied in my feminine energy when it came to dating that I finally felt courted and pursued and romanced by a guy. Beforehand, I felt like I was doing the heavy lifting. I felt like no guys were ever making that sort of effort for me because I was doing it too. And I was able to finally get to a point where I think in dating, like, the way you communicate is very important if you really want to be like treated in that like feminine way. Instead of like telling them what you want, I was saying to him things like, surprise me, like I was able to put that ball in his court and let him be in his masculine. And instead of being like, take me here or do that, if he would say, what do you want, I would say, I trust your judgment. You surprise me. You know my vibe. Like, do something. I'm down. Like, I want to see what you come up with. And I was able to kind of redirect. Not to, he was already in his masculine to begin with, but you're able to like keep those kind of roles the way that you want them, because the things that happen in the beginning are what sets the tone. So because I was able to master that by the beginning, it literally set the tone for the entire rest of our relationship.
I love
And
that.
so I think that that's all important. I mean, for me, it was a long period of time that I really like had to practice this thing, but it was important to me that I finally got there and stopped making myself be so tough all the time. Like, you don't have to always be tough. And if anybody misunderstands you, or if anybody misinterprets your softness or your vulnerability as like a weakness or a lack of confidence, then realistically, I think all that tells you is like, one, they're probably not in their masculine energy in the first place, because no masculine man would prey on a true feminine woman. They would see that as a strength, not a weakness. And two, they're just simply not for you, because you, if this is who you want to be in a relationship, if this is the energy you want to bring to a relationship, then you need to meet an energy who complements that, not combats it. So if they're
Yeah.
combative to your feminine energy, then they're just simply not the masculine energy you're looking for. This
I
is a
love
whole other
that.
tangent, but yeah,
No, I
hopefully that
love
answers
it.
all
I
that.
love it. I love that you're exaggerating too. Like, this takes time. Just like
Yeah.
the healing journey, it takes fucking time to rewire this stuff. And we are
Yeah.
very similar. Like, for so long, and I'm still like, I catch myself all the time. I'm a
Yeah.
very like in my masculine type of girl, but I
Yeah.
really try to flex it with my career. Like, I really
Yeah.
try to get out all of it like in those bubbles. And then when I'm more dating or like with a guy I like or whatever, like I try to like calm it down. And like,
Yeah.
even this is such a small example, but every controlling woman knows this feeling of like for instance, I hate Uber because I like to be the one driving, like in the fucking, because I can get there the fastest. I know how to get there most efficiently.
I could
I
leave when I
Yeah, I can do
want.
what I want. I like to make the reservation because they're gonna give me a good table, and like the control freak things, and I can own it. So I've
Yeah.
gotten good at like when a guy's driving, like I don't say anything anymore. Like if they go the slower way, I don't say
It's not
anything
like, why the
anymore.
fuck are you going that
I'm
way?
like, no, go away. You're doing good. No, I just like, I stay calm. I do
Yeah.
not say anything. I just like let it play in my head. And I do that with like friends too. Like I do that with everyone now, where I'm just like, you don't need to be like controlling everything all the time, because I think I've realized that like, if I want to feel like I'm controlling things, like surrendering is a choice. That is a
Yes.
way I can control a
Mm-hmm.
situation, by making a choice to just surrender. There's a confidence in treating others the like way you want to be treated without being so like harsh and direct and on the nose about it. Like I've learned through my friendships, through dating, with like maneuvering relationships with family, that like if I treat others the way that I want to be treated, like we learn this at such a young age, but like actually in the way I talk to them, in the way I show up, in the way I nurture, like if they're for me, they will start mirroring back. Like I feel like I just always like date avoidant men. Like it's just the way it goes. And you can be like, a healed avoidant person as well.
Right.
Like you can have those tendencies, but like still do a good job. So like I feel like with the men that I've dated who are more avoidant and like a little bit more scared of intimacy, like I've started like first being like, oh, you look really cute. Or like, oh, like that looks really good on you. Because I'm like, I want compliments from you,
Yes.
and you're not giving
Yes.
them to me. And then like the men who are actually mature and like working on themselves, I think they pick up on it. And so then the next time they see me, they're like, you look really beautiful. And I'm like, thank you.
I
Or like,
love compliments. I
yeah,
love
or just
giving
like,
compliments and receiving.
yeah, or just like nurturing people. Like I always used to be scared to like be a like show homemaker, because
Mm-hmm.
I like didn't want men or even others to think that I was like weak and not strong, and that they didn't like take me seriously as an entrepreneur. But I think it's actually made me like more confident and dynamic. I think people will see me create like an entire Thanksgiving feast and they're like, "Oh my god, she runs a company and she can cook an amazing
Yeah.
meal." And that's
Mm-hmm.
like something I'm proud of. And so I think those things too, like taking it back to confidence, like those things are what build up confidence. Like when you actually start to flex like things that you're proud of, or ways you want to be treated, or vulnerability, even if it feels scary, like the reaction and the ripple effect of those things like do build up confidence.
Yeah. No, it's so true. And I feel like people, women especially, it's funny because it's like kind of exactly what you're saying. I'm not calling you out at all, but I feel like women especially think so much about how guys perceive them, but I don't think that guys think at all about how we perceive them. They just be. They
No.
just are. Like, I'm not trying to like throw you under the bus, but it just like as you're saying it, I'm like, it's so funny because it's so true how much we hyper fixate on what they think of us, everything we do, everything we post. But like, I don't think like you're like, back when like you like a guy and like whatever, you're like kind of waiting for him to just something to to look at. Then he finally has up a story. You're like, oh my god, did he post a song lyric about me? It's like you go to his story and it's like that meme that's like finally Friday or whatever it says, like almost Friday. You're like, oh motherfucker, give me something to work with here. But like they
No,
just
that's
they,
so
they
funny.
don't. It's like they don't think about it, So like when you think about how much you're so fixated on what they're thinking about you, they're not even thinking about themselves. They're not thinking about anything.
I know. I know.
We do it to ourselves for no reason.
I know. I think it's like I feel I've gotten better, but I still am like I catch myself. I'm one of
Yeah.
those people. I think it's like the writer in me too, where I like hear every single word people
Yeah.
say.
Yeah. You
And
perceive
then,
everything.
oh, but just like I hear the words and I'm like, yeah, but you said that. And then they're like, I don't even remember saying that. And I'm like, well, you
Oh
did.
my
And
god,
I
we're
remember.
too much alike. We're
I
so
know.
the
And then I'm like,
same.
well, what did you mean when you said this? And it's like from 4 months ago. And it's like one sentence. And it's not even that I had anxiety about it because I really do feel like I have really stomped that out. And I'm proud to say that. Like, I don't like anxious spiral anymore.
Right.
But I do hold on to like
hundred
words and
percent.
like
Oh my
and
god.
things that happen. And I
My
do
it
overperceive.
doesn't end, by the way. My fiance
No,
hates that I do that. I'll bring it up and he's like, yeah, we could still do that. I'm like, but you said you want, like, wait, I thought that we both wanted to do that. Like, don't make me feel now like this is, I just want to do this thing. You
no,
said
for
it too.
sure. I'm really proud of the way I've like stopped anxious spiraling. I feel like I left that in my mid 20s and like I do feel like I'm much better about like not like hyper analyze or you know what? Gonna take that back. I still hyper analyze hardcore. I don't hyper fixate anymore. Like I
Yeah.
don't get like anxious, but I will in convo like bring up like, well, you said that like 3 months ago, you said this and you said it with these words. Those words mean this. What
hmm
did you mean by that then? And then they're like, I
I
have
don't
no idea
remember.
what you're
Yeah.
talking about.
You know what though? Like, it's so valid. Like, I'm so with you. Like, why do people not say what they mean? Like, mean what you say and say what you mean. Like, I can't stand that.
I know it's the woman curse, and there's a good and bad thing with it. But I'm really really happy you came on, and I'm really happy like we got into the nitty gritties of this stuff. And I love how vulnerable and honest you are, just like me. I have no problem being like, I'm this way, I'm not this way. This has happened. But if you could leave anything with my audience, and I know we're gonna have like a whole fucking spiel on yours too.
Yes.
What would you leave with girls right now when it comes to confidence, whether it's their career, whether it's, we talked a lot about dating today, and I think that's really important, and that's why I wanted to spend so much time on it, because I do think I've been seeing a lot of our culture right now, especially among my friends, and like even my guy friends will talk about like the women they're dating, and I'm like, like why are they treating this like an interview? Why are they treating this like it's like dependent on their worth? Like what
Yeah.
would you leave the girls with today?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to leave them with this is my known saying that like anyone who knows For the Girls or knows me on social media knows this is my saying. And I'm choosing this one for two reasons. One, because there was a point where I meant to go back and say it because there was something you said that I wanted to say to it, but then we just kept going and I never got back there. And two, because I think it's a good segue for everyone who finishes this one to go listen to your episode on mine, because yours is going to talk about exactly what I'm going to say right now. And it is this, it is that confidence is a byproduct of action. You do not get
Mhm.
confident and then take action. You take action and then you get confident. So stop waiting to be confident to take action. You will build the confidence as a result of doing the thing, as a result of taking action. The more action you take, the more you fail, the more you mess up, the more you try again, the better you get, the more confident you get. So remember that the action comes first and the confidence follows, not the other way around.
Oh, that is so good. Such a great way to end the episode. I ask every guest before they leave, looking back at your own journey, what you've done, what you're still doing, how do you see it? And I feel like that a bit answered the question, but do you want to add anything else to that answer? How do you see it? Looking back at your own story, you're now engaged. how do you see it all?
I see it as every single thing that I knew it would be. I truly always believed that I would have everything that I wanted and everything that I dreamed of. And I think that that sort of like security in yourself and in your just that confidence in yourself of being able to say, I might not have it right now, but I know I'm going to get what's meant for me. I know that my journey is not going to be end with me being unfulfilled and not getting everything I want. Like, I think that that's what always kept me going, and that's what always kept me pushing. And even when there were times where I was lonely and sad, like I always knew that my man was there, that I was going to finally have the things I want one day. When it came to business and I was unsatisfied at work, I always knew that I was going to be able to start my own projects. Like, I always knew I was meant for everything I deeply desired. And so looking back, how I see it is like, it's not shocking. This is everything I knew I would have. And so I think every girl deserves to and should feel that way about themselves.
Oh, that's so good. I love that. I think it's the same way I look at like the way I moved through. I mean, there was a lot of things that allowed me to move through like my depression and anxiety, like the intense clinical eras of my life.
Right.
But I think the biggest one, if you were to wrap it up, is like I knew that I could have more, that I was
Yeah.
capable of more, and that my life wasn't supposed to be this way. And I think
Yeah.
deep down, we all know that. Like we all
Yeah.
know we're capable of more. And I think that's what you're saying. Like it's not shocking because I knew that deep
Hmm.
down. And even when it was hard, I pursued more. I pursued
Yeah.
more for myself.
Yeah.
Ah, so
100%.
good. Please share your socials so that everybody can follow you for the podcast and your personal and where they can find the podcast. I mean, I'm going to link it all, but just say it.
Yes. Okay, so I am personally all over social media, TikTok, Instagram, wherever, with Victoria.Alario, and my website is victoriaalario.com. I have a digital program called the Queens of Confidence. It's an 8-week program with recorded modules and worksheets and journal prompts. You could take that and just do it a million times. You have lifetime access. You could also inquire there for private, coaching with me. I do work with girls one-on-one. And by the time that this episode is out, my digital workbook might be up. I'm in the process of finalizing that, but it might already be live by now. So if you do go on victorialario.com, you'll see that. It'll be like a really inexpensive, just a digital workbook of tons of things that you could fill out, to help you with everything that we talked about essentially. And then my podcast For the Girls is everywhere that podcasts are streaming. I'm on social media with forthegirls.podcast. You could watch on Spotify, you could watch on YouTube, you could listen Apple and everywhere else.
Yay. I will link the worksheet you're talking about too if it's available as well in the show
Yes.
notes. But
Thank
thank
you.
you so, so much. And go listen to our episode now on For the Girls.
Yes. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed the episode and I hope you leave here feeling motivated and inspired. Do not forget to rate and review the pod on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And don't forget to follow How I See It Pod so you can keep up with podcast updates and see who's coming on next. And if you're not already, come join the fam and follow at How Han Sees It. Thank you guys.